words, outward. In words, outward.
It is IWOW night, in words, outwards, for July 2024. I am Eileen Marcus. I am your host tonight. In other words, I get you to listen to me. I get to talk and you listen tonight. So I hope you all chime in, have a great time, and enjoy our small, little, intimate gathering. We have 9 performers tonight. If anyone gets inspired, let us know. Our theme, as you know, is always optional, and our theme tonight is In Other Words. So I was thinking of other words today. Everybody keeps on telling me, Eileen, you look so nice. I'm like, I put on makeup, in other words, right? Eileen, your dog is so loud. Yes, he's very rambunctious, in other words. That's not so funny, but he is. And I lost the rest of them, but it's really an honor to be here. I want to welcome some first-timers. I have my friends, Kathy and Alan, who have never been here, and Sonia's friend, Wendy, first time. So we have some first-timers. And Barbara. And what do you know? Don't you find that funny? In other words, why are all the first-timers kind of sitting clumped together? How did they know? They didn't know, but there they are. So, for our first entertainer of the night, the intrepid, the wonderful, the only one and only, Kristen Grippo, telling a gripping story. In other words, woo!
I'm actually going to read tonight, so it's a story pre-prepared. Hello. Hi, Phelpses. It's nice to have you back. I'm well. Whether or not you've seen the 1985 masterpiece, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I have no doubt that most of you can conjure a clear image of the iconic character that is Pee-wee Herman. Take a moment to picture him now, red bow tie, gray suit with pants a little too short, neat black crew cut, pink lips, and a wry smile. I might be able to recount the entire movie from start to finish, but I'll spare you. What I'd like to share is a scene that runs through my head pretty frequently. It's become a personal metaphor for both 11-year-old me and this present adult me standing before you. So, the plot involves Pee-wee's attempt to find his treasured bike, which takes him across the country having what else? A big adventure along the way. There's one last scene after Pee-wee finally retrieves his bike. It's the last action scene that kicks off the denouement, if action is allowed in a denouement, but I'm not sure. Anyway, almost home, Pee-wee comes across a pet store on fire. Being the good Samaritan that he is, he hops off his bike to save the day. Once inside the pet store, Pee-wee quickly frees a chimp, because it's the 80s, so of course there's a chimp in the pet store, who then becomes his dexterous partner in the saving. They continue going in and out of the blaze, attempting to rescue every last creature inside. There is an initial scene whereupon Pee-wee enters the pet store, pauses, grimacing at a tank of slithering snakes. He frowns and rapidly moves on. He and the chimp persist in carrying animals out to the sidewalk in handfuls. We witness the salvation of a flurry of birds, fish sloshing around in bowls, and bunnies hopping hither and thither. Each time Pee-wee enters the pet store, he stops at the snakes, frowns, and moves on. I think you can see where this is going. Finally, the distant sound of fire engines can be heard. There are emancipated animals all about, and we witness Pee-wee running out with his last haul. 2 fistfuls of snakes before he promptly faints onto the concrete below. Every time I find myself up against a deadline, every time I'm sending a birthday card the day before or days after the birthday, every time I do the 12 easiest things on my to-do list rather than the most complicated one, I see Pee-wee and those snakes in my mind's eye. In other words, I'm a procrastinator. I save the scariest and hardest things for last. I once completed an entire oil painting in one night, encased in my fume-filled bedroom until the early morning hours in order to have it ready for my senior year critique. When I was a full-time teacher, I would sometimes fly by the seat of my pants on a Monday because I had no actual plan for the day. And maybe my students were the better for it. Fairly recently, I almost bungled a live artist talk because I hadn't left enough time to check the Zoom link and Wi-Fi connection. I know this is normal. I know that most of us would put ourselves in this category: procrastinator, staller, delayer of time. I'm sure my astrological chart could explain why this is. I suspect that my therapist could give me a hint or two as to how my upbringing contributed to my tendency to put things off. We could muse about the state of society and how we live in such a fast-paced time that it's completely understandable to have trouble managing all the things in an orderly way. Whatever. I don't need to go there at the moment. I've been thinking about this, and I'm moving forward with some fresh observations. At first, I used to think my snakes were obviously the things I was most afraid of, or at least the things I was not so interested in. Finishing my taxes, figuring out how to put that window shade back up, preparing an invoice for a partner organization. But then I noticed that there are also things that I want to get to, am excited about, that I seem to put even further down the list. Going for a walk, making small collages in the evenings, writing this essay, writing in general. If these were my snakes, they'd be burnt to a crisp. This struck me the other day in a kind of ridiculous way. I enjoy filing my nails. It's been about 10 years since I stopped biting them, and I enjoy keeping them in good shape. Never nail polish. Sometimes one chips or becomes otherwise askew, and it will distract me all day until I can attend to it. Here's the weird part, though. Rather than start with that specific nail that needs attention, I'll start in order: left thumb to left pinky, then right thumb to right pinky, even when the others are in perfectly fine shape. Now, this may not seem like much, and it could be a whole other story about my being a perfectionist, but let's put that aside for a moment. This act of skipping the thing I want and need the most seems like a microcosm of the ways that I sabotage myself. Now, I'm not saying that deep down Pee-wee wanted to start with those snakes, that his day would have been more fulfilled if he had saved them first. Probably not, as he had a pretty wild day in search of his bike. All I'm saying is that it feels good to make space in my day for the things I'm afraid of and the things I'm excited about. It feels good to be writing. It feels good to go for a walk on my lunch break rather than send one more email. Next time, maybe instead of putting in that second load of laundry, I'll take a breath, sit down, and pick up a pencil or open my laptop, write some more, and see what wants to slither out. Thanks.
Kitty Kiefer is next. I forgot to tell her she's on deck, so I'll just string along. And on deck are the Soloways, another first. They're doing a duo. But I do want to take a moment to say, in other words, that what Kristen just did was a braided essay. In literary terms, two thoughts, right, connected together. The movie line and then how it deals with our procrastination and our own snakes. And those are very hard to pull off. So another round of applause for the braided essay. Thank you. And now, Kitty Kiefer.
So are the mics okay? All right. Because they're sort of aiming about. So I could go like this. Okay, there. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. I've had a hip replacement, which is why you haven't seen me. So I've April 30th. I am now bionic on my left side. And it's remarkable. I was sitting next to my good friends who also haven't been here, and they said, "But you're smiling so much easier." And I said, "Yes, because I have half as much pain. I have to get the other hip done, but I'm half as much pain." So anyway, the prompt was about words. And since this is a wordy place, here we go. Her words, the words of the other, and then another, me. Words. I remember being born 11 days ago. It happened when I was paying close, very close attention to an acquaintance as she spoke. The event was one of complete non-interruption on my part. I listened. I didn't even think about my version of her story. I didn't have one or make one up. This was brand new. I was different. She was telling me about her son's struggle with addiction. and only the small part of it that she could describe. She did not know for sure what defined his addiction. She knew he drank alcohol, but did not know how often or how much. He was 29 years old, lived in New York City. He hadn't lived full-time with her since high school. He had passed the bar 2 years ago and was working in a small law firm. He'd come home a week ago, ostensibly sick with Lyme. But when she saw him and spoke with him, it was as though his dad, her former husband, was again sitting in the kitchen, having a late breakfast, hungover. Familiarity was beyond words. The set of his shoulders, left elbow on the counter and the heel of that hand on his forehead, fingers splayed and embedded in his oily brown hair. Some of the hair stood up, sort of stuck together. And the eyes, open and staring at her, touched with arrogance and mild hate. The eyes, the color of the sky, surrounded by skin the color of raw pizza dough. It was painful. She knew for her and probably for him. He began to cry, his face still, eyes filling with clear tears, which then tracked down his cheeks into his 3-day stubble. She knew to be quiet, to sit at the counter, on the stool, her hands in her lap, to let him speak, to listen. He sniffed, wiped his nose with the back of his hand, the left hand. There was a streak of blood from the wipe. Then he rubbed his hands into his jeans. He closed his eyes. Here he distinguished himself from his long-absent father. The anger leached out of him, and it left the room. He was soft and vulnerable. He closed both eyes, both palms on his forehead, elbows on either side of the empty plate. He sighed, sniffed, and swallowed. Softly he spoke. "I need help, Ma. I don't know what to do. I've been drinking pretty hard, all the time since I lost my job 4 weeks ago. I lost my job. They found a little Ziploc bag of Coke under my phone at my desk. They fired me. I don't know what to do, Ma." She didn't know what to do either, so she said that. And then she said, "I love you." And they were quiet. She bent her neck and looked out of the tops of her eyes at him, the way she did when he was homesick from grammar school. She looked at him this way. "May I call a friend who is a lawyer, a woman, who seems to have experience with families?" Just words. He was silent. So was she. He poked the plate in front of him, sort of punched it, and spun it with his right index finger. The sticky, left-behind bits of scrambled eggs stayed on the plate. She closed her eyes to keep silent. She heard him move, heard the stool as the seat turned and he stood up. She looked. He was rubbing his face. The sandpaper sound as he rubbed his chin and 3-day beard was acidic. She held her lips softly together. Her tongue she put between her teeth to keep from clenching her jaw and making the muscles near her ears pop and swell, to keep the throbbing tension from being visible to him. Silence, love, and fear. They both had them all, in different proportions, in different weights. He said yes, one word. Slowly she picked up her cell, opened the directory, scrolled, then pushed the call button. I answered my cell. She spoke softly but directly. Her son was listening. I was too. I was only listening for the first time. So quiet, she once asked if I was still there. Yes, was all I said.
Thank you, Kitty, for sharing. We have Paul and Susan Soloway for the first time together on a stage. Deb Machowski, I don't see Deb. So on deck is Christina. Hold it. I got it. And
Here we go. There is a little prelude to what we're going to do together, and that little prelude is early in our romance. Paul and I worked at the same ad agency together, but romance was prohibited. You weren't supposed to date anyone in the agency. Imagine how that has changed over the years. So this was 83. And we kept it very secret for a while. One night, kind of late, it was after hours, I phoned him at his office because we were supposed to meet clandestinely. But instead of him picking up, his secretary was still there. And she's kind of a busybody. I was like, oh. She said, and who may I say is calling? I said, a name popped into my head. Miss Fleming. Tell him it's Miss Fleming. And from then on, in other words, I was Miss Fleming. Every now and then when we need to fake it, I'm still Miss Fleming. But as we were working on this prompt yesterday, we were both struck by the same song. In other words, it's actually quite a well-known old song. We're going to actually serve it up to you in our own words. Hang on. There's actually a soundtrack, so
Yes.
I do want to.
We had Nelson Riddle do this soundtrack for us.
If we're lucky, this will work.
Yeah, and if lucky, I can sing. All right, let's start from the beginning. Can we put that over there? Yeah. Oh, all right.
Okay, see if it works.
All right, here we go. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
If you have some words, I can put them to this tune. Sinatra had a hit with it. It's Fly Me to the Moon. In other words, it works with any words. In other words, it's the prompt.
Working around the house, I said take the garbage out. It is really smelly, please don't make me beg and shout. In other words, I love you. In other words,
out it goes.
Bring me some white wine or a cocktail by the pool. Any words work fine. You can rhyme them like a fool. In other words, I love you. So
let us raise a glass or two.
Wait for it.
We make a great pair. I can't see and she can't hear. I need stronger glasses and her hearing aids need repair.
In other words, I need you.
In other words, in specific words,
we need help.
All right.
On the stage, the dynamic duo. Wow. Okay, Deb Machowski is not here. And I have a depressing piece, so I'm going to skip me and go to someone more fun, because that was very fun for this always. Christina Coldis is going to come up and entertain us. And for all of you, in other words, while you're here, make sure to check out her art show in the small gallery. It is really fascinating.
All right, so I think I can sit on this. I want this to slip away. And as was mentioned, I have a little gallery show, and we're going to have a reception Sunday the 14th, 2 to 5, with little snacks, a little vino, lots of soda for me. I don't drink. I did a long time ago. I don't anymore. I know better for me. Anyway, so I'd love to see you there, and I'll be putting it on Facebook, and I'm sure Melanie will be putting out some notices as well. All right, I resurrected this one. This is one of my favorites on the guitar. Since I can't play that anymore, I try to put it here, so let's see how far I get with it. Story. Laszlo Fair stole a stallion, stole him from the misty mountains, and they chased him when they caught him, and in iron chains they bound him. Word was brought to Anarchia that had brought their wives into prison. Bring me golden 6 fine horses, I will buy my brothers freedom. Judge, oh judge, please spare my brother. I will give you gold and silver. I don't want your gold and silver. I want your sweet favor. Anathea, oh my sister, are you mad with grief and sorrow? He will rob you of your flower, and he'll hang me from the gallows. Anathea did not heed him, straightway to the judge with honey in his golden bed at midnight. There she heard the gallows groaning. Anathea, Anathea, don't go out into the forest. There among the green pines and bees, you will find your brother hanging. I lost my pen. In other words, that was just a light little song for your enjoyment. All right. Oh, and please come
Go encore?
reception.
Encore?
I have an encore, but there's other people.
Yeah? What do we say? Encore!
All right. All right.
Encore! In other words, play more.
All right, one more. Gosh. Oh, this is one. Last time, and I started out and like great introduction, and then it was in the wrong key, and I couldn't remember the words. So we're going to try it again this year, right now, this week, this month, whatever it is. One time I got so stoned. You see, you need. These are special picks. I mean, everybody plays the guitar. They don't look like that, right? You need them to, right? And I'm sitting at my friend's house with a little guitar, a little this, a little that. I don't drink. I want you to know that. I don't drink. I want you to know that. But I did imbibe a bit. And I had them on backwards. I had them on the other hand. This is where the buttons go. And I picked that auto power up, and my friend was just banging away. And I'm like, I can't play. Something's wrong. Figure, stoned. This was just, I don't know, maybe a little while ago. Not too long ago. If you look in the gallery, I was probably stoned when I did a lot of those, too. You have to take a little look. You'll see what I mean. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can do this one. I'm not stoned now. I am. I'm just nervous. I ain't got nobody standing on my doorstep. Ain't got no loose change, no, in my jeans. If you know somebody, won't you send him my way? I can use some help here with a can of pork and peas. I can see your back porch if I close my eyes now. I can hear the train tracks way on the line. That was laundry. I know it's your business, so you don't have to answer. Standing on the back porch, it's summertime. Well, I once had family, but they left me with nothing but a trade track. Oh God, 8-track. Now beside George Jones. So sad. I was in high cotton, just a banging on 6th Street, kicking a trash can, walking skin and bones. I can see your back porch if I close my eyes now. Oh, I can hear the train tracks through the laundry on the line. I know it's your business, so you don't gotta answer. Sitting on the back porch and summertime. Everybody's out there, climbing on the trees now, swinging in the breeze now, hanging on the vine. Oh, I want a sailboat, don't want no fur coat underneath the dashboard. Got me some dandelion wine. I can see your back porch, yeah. If I close my eyes now, I can hear the train tracks roll through the laundry on the line. Oh, I know it's your business, so you don't gotta answer no. Standing on the back porch in the winter time. Woo! Okay, thank you. I get a little excited. Just a little excited. I do. Okay. I am going to replace Deb Machowski. Not that Deb Machowski is replaceable, in other words, but I'm going to read something serious tonight. And after me will be Sonia. Where's Sonia? After me will be, see, caught you in the act, Sonia. I started talking over there. Another round for Christina, though, because standing on the back porch. Love it, love it. So, you know, I really like to make you laugh and give you funny things. But we know that a lot of serious people, a lot of funny people have some serious things going on behind them, right? And this is about something I've been engaged in the last 10 months, a Kabbalah journey. And as many of you know, Kabbalah is the study of God and the universe and my relation to it all and who I am. So bear with me. My Kabbalah journey. Eileen Marcus. I should tell you, I tried to rip off The Alchemist. Who knows The Alchemist? You know, that transformative book that didn't go anywhere until it went everywhere, and it's probably the most sold book ever. So I read The Alchemist, and I ripped him off just a little. In my 6th decade, I paused at a quaint coffee shop, savoring a simple pleasure I allowed myself. My morning had been busy with calls, chores, and preparations for a town meeting.
I chuckled, wondering how I ever managed a full-time job now that tasks took me all day instead of just the evenings. In my younger years, I prided myself on being an Olympian rat racer, accumulating wealth, jewels, art, designer clothes, shoes, and a second home. I was traveling, always doing, despite my seemingly full life, career, daughter, family, friends, and an active social life. The void always returned, each time a little bigger and much darker. I anchored myself in the grind, believing that money and power were keys to love and worthiness. A sigh escaped my lips. The man sitting next to me inquired, "Why are you so sad?" I gulped the air, deciding how honest I should be. I hedged. "I'm thinking about why things we want are always out of reach." He raised his eyebrows and said, "That's a good question. The right questions are the start of the most important journey." Taken aback, I opened my mouth to speak, suddenly aware of all the light around me, reflected from him. Instinctively, I knew honesty was the only path. Ready to ask what makes one worthy, he preempted me again, the nerve. Only the enlightened seek to know all the dimensions in this lived experience. When we are in our physical bodies, we become worthy through preparation. Our actions and choices matter. I nodded, thinking it odd how he tuned right into my mindset. He leaned in, too close for someone I had just met, yet comfortable as if he were a long-lost friend. In an almost inaudible whisper, he said, "You are closest to the pinnacle of your journey when you see through yourself. You must lose your anchor to find yourself." I looked out to the horizon, pondering how my possessions, the things I coveted most, had anchored me. Was he suggesting that my belongings hindered my happiness? A new question bubbled up. Is my lifestyle making me unhappy? And another, are the things I have blocking me from being who I am meant to be? I turned to ask him a question, but the man was gone. I wondered why he said that. I had always thought of myself as a solid, consistent, accountable person. I prided myself on my ability to get a job done and accumulate material objects, houses, furs, jewelry, trips, but it was never enough. I was anchored to my past, to historical and hysterical beliefs, childhood abandonment and trauma. I was anchored to a narrative that kept me in a loop, comfortable but not propelling me to be the woman I desired. I wanted to prove myself to those who had hurt me, and having things was the only way out, the way to show all those who manipulated and took me for granted, those who had blocked my path. I went about my day with a new thought swirling in my mind. Is everything I have necessary? Why did I believe tangible possessions were the road to happiness? I shut those voices up with a quick retort. They make me happy. I have a roof over my head, money in the bank, and a safe car. I am taken care of. Yet I couldn't turn off that nagging voice inside. If I have what I wanted, why haven't I found happiness? Why does it only last for a while, and then I look for something else to bring joy? I ran my errands. Nothing had changed, yet everything was different. I couldn't escape the man's words. See through yourself echoed in my head. What does that even mean? The next morning, the question still pulled at me. I headed back to the same coffee shop at the same time, hoping to find the man. The rhythm of the coffee shop drew me in. I sat for hours, newly noticing how much I liked the mismatched tables and chairs, watching others live their lives, engrossed in snippets of their conversation. My mission of finding the mysterious man was fun and enjoyable. I thought, why don't I come here more often? And a voice from the back of my head said, it will lose its magic. A new voice from within me said, then you will create more magic. A young woman wearing monotone yoga pants and a shirt and a sparkly headband asked to share my table. I thought how lucky she was, dressed so perfectly, such a supple body, and so young. The woman turned to me and said, you seem so at peace. What do you do? I tossed my head back and thought about the 10-month journey I have been on, the study of Kabbalah, a deep dive into ancient teachings, exploring the depths of my soul and the relationship between God and the universe. It wasn't the teachings, it was the experience of Kabbalah that had unraveled layers of my being that I never even knew existed. Surprising myself, these words came out of my mouth. You must see through yourself with enough light to illuminate others. Wow, I want your life. The woman laughed, then said seriously, what is the meaning of life? What drives you? At that moment, I finally saw through myself. Not the usual wants I had chased my whole life. Not the long answer of to contribute, be relevant, make a difference, find joy, procreate, help others, help myself, to love, be loved, be authentic, be engaged, give freely, be kind, honor others, find God. All worthy. But all of my 6 decades, that answer changed and morphed as my seeking morphed. In that moment, on this day, I knew the truth. I smiled and said, each day I further my soul's journey. A little bit of unlevity tonight. And now we have the famous Sonia Pilser, one of my writing teachers. Yay, Sonia. Thank you.
Hi, all. Hi. Okay, I have something a little different. This is called the Dharma of swimming. It's that time of year. I can dive off my dock into Copake Lake. The water is still cold, and I'll freeze for a few seconds, then will be absorbed in its wet embrace. But until a few years ago, I used to stand at the edge, unable to enter the water. Pools, lakes, forget about the ocean. I perched helplessly. Was I afraid of the cold, of the shock to my body? What made me stand there like Jimmy Stewart in Vertigo? I love to swim. I'm a strong swimmer. The fear was powerful, actually paralyzing, until finally, after much fanfare, I slowly walked into the water like the gallows. And finally, it was all right. It really was, but preceded by so much angst. So I created a mantra to save myself. It couldn't be more primal. 1, 2, 3. I know, not a stretch, but I don't tell anyone. Sometimes I extend it. 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. But when I say the word 3, that's it. No excuse, hesitation. I must fling my body into the waiting body of water. Mantras have spiritual and psychological power. Their repetition focuses the mind, promotes concentration. Now that I have my mantra, 1, 2, 3, I can avoid entering the painful state of stuckness, the limbo before moving forward. I wrote this poem some time ago. Is it terror's dare that forces her on the stage? The phobic, addicted to staring down the high diving board, she balances on the edge, about to plummet. Once, her father cast her into the sea of brine, broken oyster shells. She smiles at the audience, her mouth a worm pinned to her face with toothpicks. She picks up the bow to warm her instrument. It is the familiar sound. She sighs. The audience dissolves into blue light. Her fingers are hungry gulls circling, plucking the strings as if they were fish. She jackknifes through years of scales, and yes, the violinist is wet. 1, 2, 3. It cured me. The liminal space between dry land and wet eliminated, or at least radically shortened. I must go into the water no matter what. There's no choice. My body lifts off from the dock and turns a crooked sea, corkscrewing into the water. Yes, the violinist is wet. This is what I've waited for all day, to give myself over to the wet one, to the cool, wet place. Glory in the release of my breath like a huge sigh. A natural, non-thinking exhalation. Breath, body, and water are one. There is movement. There is buoyancy. I suppose I am an amphibious creature, how we all began. I swim in gratitude. Thank you.
So this is a sappy old love song, in other words. No, that's not the name of it. The name of it is Look to Your Heart. If you're wondering if I still love you, if you're wondering if you're still the girl in my dreams, and if you're wondering if I'll stay as the years slip away, well, look to your heart, 'cause that's where love starts. I love you today and for always. Yes, I'm happy when I'm with you. Yes, I'm happy when it's just you and I. And I'm happy just being here. Just being here, giving you my heart. I love you today and for always. May your days be filled with kindness and your friends be oh so easy to find. And in the glow of the evening light, well, look to your heart, 'cause that's where love starts. I love you today and for always. If you're wondering if I still love you, if you're wondering if you're still the girl in my dreams, and if you're wondering if I'll stay as the years slip away, well, look to your heart, 'cause that's where love starts. Just being here, giving you my heart. I love you today and for always. All right, well, thank you very much. Wow, thank you. So I've got one more song. So where I live, there's a brook. And one night I was out there having a little campfire by my camp, by the shed. And sometimes I get mallards in there and wood ducks. So I was having a beer and whatever one night. And so I wrote, this song is called I Want to Be a Mallard When I Die. So there is a sing-along part. It's not really a sing-along. It's like, when I die. I want to be a mallard when I die. With a big green head and big brown eyes. I want to fly so high in the Berkshire sky. I want to be a mallard when I die. I could swim in your rivers, lakes, and ponds, flip up my tail to the sky. I could fly so high like a little bumblebee. I wanna be a mallard when I die. I wanna be a mallard when I die. With a big green head and big brown eyes. I could fly so high in the Berkshire sky. I wanna be a mallard when I die. Won't you give me some seed or piece of bread? I'm so hungry I need to be fed. I could do a flip, put my tail to the sky. I wanna be a mallard when I die. I wanna be a mallard when I die. With a big green head and big brown eyes. Oh, I could fly so high in the Berkshire sky. I wanna be a mallard when I die. I learned that at Kabbalah or whatever it is there. I was taking the same course you took. Exactly. Well, thank you.
Another IWOW regular. Okay, Ted Phelps is coming up. Here he comes. Da-dun, da-dun. What's the Jeopardy thing? Dun. I think so. Quack, quack, Steve. And here is Ted. In other words, the one, the only, I've been calling you all.
3. Thank you, Susan. You know what I mean? I asked my Apple Watch today, how many days since March 24? Because I suspected it said 100. Nice round day number. So I was pretty normal here. 120 days ago was the last time I was here on March 4th. But by March 24th, I had what I'm at least calling a stroke. So right now, from top to bottom on my right side, just like I'm a harlequin, I don't feel much here. I can command the muscles, thank goodness for that, right? So I can do things, but it's confusing. And it's had other influences, which is really the main reason that I'm up here and haven't been here because we were very busy and went to Scotland. Yay. So I thought if there is time tonight, I at least want to tell you because I heard right away that people were missing me here. So I wanted to let you know that. So I don't know whether, because there's an inner part of me. I was reading an article on for writers 2 days ago, and the author of that article named what I've been having a hard time telling my various therapies. She calls it inner life, and said it's hard to describe. But I'm describing it in my notes on my health as the part of me that makes me want to do something, especially creative. So it definitely takes that to write a piece of anything for IWOW. So this is a place of people that have inner life, and they come up and share it. I'm usually maybe hiding behind a piece of fiction. Fine, I'm not, though, tonight. So that's the main thing I wanted to tell you. Also to thank my own thoughts about stuff, thank you, Ted, but also an organization that I'll promote from Brooklyn that publishes on a half sheet a little fresh short story every month. It's called One Story. If you search for it, put the hyphen in there, One Hyphen Story. Or just One Story in Brooklyn. They've been going around quite a while. They also do courses. And I've taken 3 or 4 of them. I've given short pieces here that are based on it. I've written a whole novella based on something I did from them in 2016 or something. So I thought, all right, this time I'm going to do it for therapy. And you introduce yourself. I said, this time it's therapy. And I don't know if I'll write anything. But I followed the algorithm of the heuristic that Hannah Tinty, and I've read her novel, The Good Thief, puts you through, which is basically a 5-sentence arc that goes from beginning to ending, just the thing we know about stories. And then you take each of those sentences and then you invent, flesh it out and flesh it out. And I've got a story that would take 3 IWOWs to do, and it's pretty dear to me. So, but the main thing is I can see that with structure, and IWOW is structure for me, for sure. In other words, you know what I'm saying.